Hello and welcome to the Relocation Specialist Training video. In this video we're going to look at Action Plan Additional Details. Now we've looked at action plans before, and let's just take a quick review by going to the Referrals List page and then clicking on Action Plans. It opens the Action Plans page. At the top of the page are the action plans, and then by selecting one of the action plans in the top part of the page, it will display the action plan details in the bottom part of the page. We also, in a previous action plans training video, looked at auto action plans, where if you name the action plan the exact same as a referral type, then as you add new records into the referrals table and select that referral type, then the database will automatically attempt to run the corresponding action plan. Now in the additional details, let's start by looking at the action plan items. So I'm going to click the button for Edit the Action Plan Items, and you'll notice that in the record here for who, we have myself. Now we have our choice here when we're going to select who is responsible for this particular item. And in the drop list, it lists all of those people who are listed in the users table. And notice that myself is one of those people. Now, the reason for having the word myself in there is so that all of your users can use the same action plans. Let's say, for example, there's 5 people that work in your office, all using Relocation Specialist. And when you go to run the action plans, you want all the action plans to apply to all 5 people. Well, by using the word myself, then when the database attempts to run the action plans, then when it sees myself, it will substitute the name of the person that logged in and is using the action plan at that time. So you don't have to have 5 different sets of action plans if you use the word myself. Now, how does the word myself get there? Well, I mentioned that it comes from the users table. So we're going to go back to Utility Settings, click on Users, and if you don't already have a user named myself, then, and you can know that quickly by just clicking on the column for username, and it alphabetizes that list. If we go to the next page, in this case, in the demo database, we do have a person named myself. But if you don't, you would click Add New. It opens this page, and you fill in just 4 fields. The username, which is required, the name to be used on forms or emails, which really doesn't matter because the user, myself, won't ever actually send anything. But we fill in that field anyway. And then the ID and the password. Now, every record must have an ID and a password. But don't try logging in using myself, because that won't get you anywhere. Many databases have the user, myself, in them. This is just to satisfy the need in your users table for an ID and password for each person. So fill in all 4 fields there with the word myself, spelled exactly that way with initial capital letter M. And then when you go to your action plans, it will display the name myself in the drop list. So we'll click a button here, and you can see myself is an option. Okay. Now, the other thing while we're in this record is in the email from. Now, in the to-do list, we allow you to fill in this field as well. And typically, we will tell you to not use that field. But here's how that field is used. If we wanted to make it look like the email is actually coming from a certain person. We could say assigned agent, for example. And then when the action plan is run, it will look up the email address for the assigned agent and put it into the record. So, for example, if you're doing a drip email campaign and you want it to look to the client like it's coming from the agent, that's where you would use the email from. Otherwise, just leave it blank, because if it's blank, then the database will always insert your email address. Now, the email subject line, we have looked at this before, but not in as much depth here. The subject line of an email can be changed to whatever is entered here. And if we combine, for example, assignment 4 and then select the client name from the drop list, then the email subject will automatically be assignment 4, and then it'll have the client's name. So when the agent or contact receives the update request, for example, then they're going to know by looking at the subject line for whom the request is made. Which form? We've used those before. Email attachments. Nothing new there, but one note in the additional details here is that you can have multiple attachments. So it's just a matter of selecting the item and then dragging it to the page and then inserting. Okay? And we'll close that when done. Now, each of those email attachments, it will put it in automatically, but they must be separated by a semicolon. Body of letter, this is what is used with some of the customized forms. So you may select a form here, such as custom letter, or any number of forms that use the body of letter, and you can then select which body of letter you want to go with that form. Simply update the current record, and then your changes will be made. Well, I hope that that's helpful. The addition of myself will save making numerous versions of the action plan. Sorry. Okay. One other quick thing about action plans. If you do have to create an action plan that's similar to one that already exists, you can copy that. By selecting the action plan in the upper part of the page, notice that this particular one has 3 action plan items. I can select the record, click Copy, give the new action plan, let's just name it AA New, and I'm just doing that so it'll appear at the top of the page, and click Submit and Continue. You'll see that AA New is now in there, and those 3 action plan items also got copied. So now if I wanted to change these, make some minor adjustments to these 3 while having the new action plan, I can do that. Okay, that's all for action plan additional details. Thank you very much.